Ethan sat by the window of the alien transport ship, staring at the shifting stars. His reflection looked pale and nervous, his human face standing out among the glowing passengers around him. The ship hummed softly, carrying him closer to a world he never thought he would see. Beside him, Liara reached out and placed her violet hand on his. "You're too quiet," she said gently. Her golden eyes shimmered in the dim light. Ethan tried to smile. "I just don't know what to expect. Meeting your mother. This feels bigger than just family dinner." Liara squeezed his hand. "It is bigger. My mother is not like others. She carries the voice of our ancestors. She sees things even the council fears." That only made Ethan's stomach twist tighter. The ship descended into the alien atmosphere, and Ethan pressed his forehead to the glass. A vast city stretched out below, glowing towers shaped like crystal spires, floating bridges connecting platforms in the air, rivers of light flowing through the streets. Alien ships moved in perfect order like schools of fish. It was beautiful, yet overwhelming. The moment they stepped off the ship, silence fell. The crowd of aliens stopped what they were doing, turning their heads to watch the human who walked among them. Their eyes followed Ethan, glowing softly, unreadable. Some whispered, words he couldn't understand. Liara pulled him closer to her side. "Don't mind them," she said, though her voice was tight. "They have not seen a human here in a very long time." The two of them walked through the city. Ethan noticed the banners hanging from towers, symbols of power that meant nothing to him but seemed to carry weight for the aliens. Guards in silver armor stood at every corner, their weapons humming faintly with hidden energy. Finally, after a long ride in a hover carriage, they arrived at a massive estate at the edge of the city. It rose like a palace, with white stone walls that glowed faintly in the starlight and gates carved with swirling designs. Two towering guards stood at the entrance. When Liara approached, they bowed respectfully to her. But when their eyes landed on Ethan, something strange happened. The guards straightened sharply, their expressions shifting to one of alarm, and then without a word they bent down lower, bowing even deeper to him. Ethan froze. His heart pounded in his chest. Liara, why are they bowing to me?" Liara's brow furrowed. "They should not be." Inside the gates, servants moved quickly, glancing at Ethan with the same strange caution. The halls of the estate stretched endlessly, lit by golden fire that burned without smoke. Portraits of past leaders lined the walls, their alien faces painted with solemn pride. Ethan walked with heavy steps, his mind racing. He felt like an intruder in a world that wasn't his, a human in the center of a palace that carried secrets he didn't understand. "Your mother knows we are here, doesn't she?" Ethan asked quietly. Liara nodded. "She always knows." They stopped before a pair of towering doors carved with symbols that seemed to move under the light. The guards, standing there, opened them slowly. Ethan's throat felt dry. Every step felt heavier, like walking into the unknown. The grand hall beyond was enormous, with high ceilings painted with stars, as if the galaxy itself lived inside the room. The floor was made of black stone that reflected like water, and at the far end stood a single throne of crystal. The air grew colder. Ethan felt it crawl along his skin. Liara placed her hand on his arm. "Remember, whatever happens, do not look away from her eyes. It will be seen as weakness." Ethan swallowed hard. He tried to steady his breath, but his chest still felt tight. The sound of footsteps echoed through the hall, soft but powerful. Though, doors behind them shut with a heavy boom. Ethan turned and saw figures moving in the shadows. Servants, guards, maybe more. They were not here for him, but it felt as if every one of them was watching. And then she appeared. Liara's mother entered from a side passage, walking slowly, each step commanding the room. She was tall, taller than Liara, her presence filling the hall before she even spoke. Her hair shimmered like liquid silver, her skin a deep shade of violet, darker than her daughter's. Her eyes glowed faintly, as if starlight lived inside them. Ethan couldn't move. He couldn't even breathe. This was not just a mother. This was someone ancient, someone who carried the weight of centuries. She stopped a few steps from the throne, her gaze fixed on Ethan. Her lips curved slightly, but it wasn't a smile. It was something else. Something that made him feel as if his soul was being measured. "Human," she said, her voice calm yet echoing through the hall like a low bell. "So, you are the one my daughter chose." Ethan opened his mouth, but no sound came out. His throat was dry, his mind frozen. Her eyes narrowed just slightly. For a moment it felt as though time itself slowed, the silence stretching into eternity. And then she spoke again, softly, but with words that struck deeper than any blade. "You should not be here." The words sent a chill down Ethan's spine. He felt his knees weaken, his heart race, and in that moment he realized this was no ordinary meeting. This was the beginning of something far bigger. Something that could decide not only his future with Liara, but humanity's place in the galaxy. Ethan's chest tightened as the words echoed in the vast chamber. "You should not be here." The air seemed to grow heavier, pressing down on him. Liara shifted beside him, her face pale against the glow of the throne room. "Mother," Liara said quickly, bowing her head. "This is Ethan, the one I told you about. The one I—" Her mother raised a hand, silencing her. The motion was slow, graceful, but filled with power that made even the guards flinch. The hall grew quiet again, the kind of silence that carries weight. Ethan stood stiff, trying to remember Liara's warning. Don't look away from her eyes. And then it happened. Those eyes fixed on him fully. He had never seen anything like them. They were not just eyes of a living being. They were stars trapped in dark pools, glowing faintly as if entire galaxies spun within them. For a moment, Ethan felt his mind being pulled in, like he was falling through endless space. He forced himself to stand taller, his hands trembling at his sides. "Do you know why my daughter brought you here?" she asked. Her voice was calm, yet Ethan felt it ripple through his bones like a vibration under his skin. Ethan opened his mouth, then hesitated. What could he say? That he was just a human boy who loved Liara? That he wanted to prove himself? None of that felt strong enough. "She wanted me to meet you," Ethan finally said, keeping his voice steady, "because she believes I matter to her future." The faintest shift crossed the alien mother's face, not anger, not approval. Something unreadable, like a puzzle with missing pieces. Liara stepped forward, her voice firm. "He is not like others, Mother. He understands me, Enough," her mother said again. The sound carried finality, cutting off Liara's words. She descended the stairs of the throne, each step echoing like thunder. Her long robe shimmered with shifting patterns, symbols that glowed and faded as if alive. When she reached the floor, she walked in a slow circle around Ethan. Ethan's pulse pounded. He could feel her presence pressing against him like heat, like gravity itself. "Strange," she whispered as she circled him. "You carry no weapon, no shield, no title, and yet—" She paused behind him and he felt her gaze burn through his back. "My guards bowed to you." Ethan's mouth went dry. He had no answer. He hadn't understood it either. Her voice dropped lower, softer but sharper than a blade. "Do you know what they see in you, human?" Ethan swallowed. "No. They see danger," Liara gasped, but her mother's eyes never left Ethan. "Danger?" Ethan asked, forcing his voice to stay calm. "I'm just one man. I'm not here to—" "Do not lie to yourself," she said sharply. Her eyes flashed brighter. For a moment, and Ethan felt a strange pressure in his head, like her voice was inside his skull. "You carry something you do not yet understand. And it frightens them. It frightens me." Ethan's skin crawled. He tried to hold her gaze, but it felt like staring into a storm. Liara finally stepped between them. "Mother, he came here in peace. He is not dangerous. He is with me." For the first time, the woman looked at her daughter with something softer, almost sorrow. You think love protects him from the truth? No. Love will make him vulnerable. Love will destroy him. Ethan's heart clenched. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but every word caught in his throat. The alien mother turned back to him, her expression unreadable again. She leaned slightly closer, her glowing eyes locking onto his. Tell me, human, what do you seek here? To impress me? To claim my daughter as your own? Or to learn what the galaxy has tried to bury? Her words dug into him. Ethan's mind swirled. What the galaxy has tried to bury? He found his voice, though it shook. I came here for her. For Liara. Nothing else. A faint smile curved her lips. It wasn't warm. It was knowing, like she had heard this answer before. You will learn, she whispered. The chamber doors opened suddenly. Heavy footsteps echoed as a group of tall figures entered. Their robes marked them as members of the alien council. Their eyes went immediately to Ethan, sharp and disapproving. One of them stepped forward, pointing a long finger at him. Why is a human standing in this hall? This is forbidden. Liara stiffened, moving closer to Ethan. He is with me. The council member ignored her, his voice rising. Remove him at once. He does not belong here. Before the guards could move, Liara's mother raised her hand again. The room froze. Even the council fell silent under her command. Her gaze lingered on Ethan, cold yet steady. And then, in a voice only, he seemed to hear, she whispered words that made his blood run cold. Your kind was never supposed to come here. Ethan's breath caught. He turned sharply toward her, but her face gave nothing away. The council members looked confused, as if they hadn't heard what she said. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. And Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The council chamber was tense, filled with silent eyes watching the human who should not have been there. Ethan stood frozen in place, every muscle stiff. Liara's hand was still on his arm, grounding him, but he felt her trembling, too. Her mother returned to her throne, moving slowly, each step echoing against the polished stone floor. She sat gracefully, her glowing eyes never leaving Ethan. He stays, she said. The council erupted in outrage. Voices overlapped, angry and sharp. This is against all law, one shouted. Humans were exiled long ago. Another cried. If the others hear of this, we will face rebellion. Ethan looked at Liara, his heart racing. What are they talking about? He whispered. Liara shook her head quickly, but her eyes betrayed something, fear mixed with confusion. Her mother raised her hand and silence fell again. The council. Members glared but obeyed, shrinking back. She leaned forward slightly, her silver hair catching the glow of the torches. They fear you, human. Not because of who you are, but because of what you carry. Ethan frowned. I don't carry anything. A thin smile curved her lips. Don't you? She rose again, stepping down from the throne, her long robe whispering across the floor. She stopped only a breath away from Ethan. Her eyes locked onto his, and once again he felt himself being pulled into them, like drowning in starlight. You think Earth was ignored, forgotten by the galaxy out of chance? She whispered. No. Your world was erased, records destroyed, names buried, all because of what your ancestors did. Ethan's blood ran cold. What? What did they do? Liara turned to her mother, her voice shaking. Mother, what are you saying? I have studied the archives. There is nothing about humans before the wars, nothing. That is because it was hidden. Her mother cut her off sharply. We buried the truth and we swore never to speak it again. But now, her gaze swept back to Ethan. The truth stands before me, wearing human skin. The council shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their heads, others clenched their fists. Ethan's throat felt dry. He forced himself to speak. If there is some truth, then tell me. I have a right to know. Her mother studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she circled him again, speaking as though reciting something older than time. Long ago, before the Council existed, there was a war unlike any other. Worlds burned, fleets vanished, and empires fell, and at the center of it all were humans. Your kind was not weak then. You were feared, hunted, worshipped. For you held a power that bent even the stars. Ethan's chest tightened. He shook his head. That's impossible. Humans barely reached the stars a few centuries ago. We don't have that kind of power. You don't, she agreed softly. Not anymore. It was taken from you, locked away, buried deep in your blood, so no one would ever awaken it again. The chamber grew colder. Ethan's hands clenched at his sides. Why would anyone do that? Because the galaxy could not survive you. Her words rang out like thunder, and the council flinched. Liara gasped. She looked at Ethan, then back, at her mother. That cannot be true. If it were, then why let them live at all? Her mother's gaze softened for only a moment. Because extinction is dangerous. Destroy a species and you make them martyrs. But erase them from history? Leave them broken, wandering among the stars, thinking themselves small and harmless? That in his control. Ethan's mind spun. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He felt anger rising inside him, anger at the lies, at the manipulation. So you're saying, all this time, humanity has been living under a lie? Yes, her mother whispered. Her eyes glowed brighter. And you, human, are the crack in that lie, the reason it may break. The council leader stepped forward, his voice furious. Enough of this. He should be destroyed before he spread such poison. Guards began to move, their weapons humming. Liara instantly stepped in front of Ethan, her voice sharp. No. If you touch him, you answer to me. Silence. Child, the council leader barked. You endanger us all by bringing him here. But Liara's mother raised her hand again and the guards froze in place. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with fire. No. He will not be harmed. Not yet. The truth must be revealed. She leaned closer to Ethan, her voice dropping to a whisper that only he could hear. Your bloodline holds the memory of the war, a memory no council can erase. And whether you wish it or not, that memory is waking. Ethan's heart pounded in his ears. He felt a strange chill spreading through his body, as if something deep inside him had stirred at her words. And then, suddenly, the great doors slammed open. Figures in heavy armor stormed into the chamber, their weapons glowing red. They were not council guards. They bore different symbols, harsh and jagged. Their leader raised his weapon, pointing it directly at Ethan. There he is, the soldier growled. The human. Kill him. The chamber erupted in chaos. Chaos exploded through the chamber as armored intruders stormed in. Their boots pounded against the polished black floor, weapons raised, red light pulsing at their tips. The council members scattered in panic, their robes sweeping as they fled behind pillars and guards. Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. The soldier's words echoed in his mind. Kill him. Liara pulled him back instinctively, her violet hair whipping across her face as she drew him, behind one of the massive stone columns. Stay down, she hissed. Blasts of energy ripped through the air, scorching the walls. The once calm, glowing chamber now shook with violence. The intruders fired without hesitation, their focus locked on Ethan. But before they could close in, a voice cut through the storm. Enough. It was Liara's mother. She had not moved. From her throne, though her robe shimmered brighter, the symbols on its surface glowing like burning embers, she lifted a single hand, and a wall of energy erupted in front of Ethan and Liara, absorbing the blasts. The intruders stumbled back, their weapons crackling uselessly against the invisible barrier. You dare bring violence into my hall, she said, her voice calm but thunderous. Do you know whose presence you defile? Their leader sneered. We do not answer to you. We answer to the true order of the galaxy, and that order demands the death of the human, Her eyes narrowed. So the whispers were true. The old fear still commands your masters. Ethan rose, slowly from behind the column, his body shaking but his jaw tight. Why me? Why do they all want me dead? Liara's mother turned her gaze to him, her expression unreadable. Because, human, your very existence threatens their control. You are a reminder of what they buried. The words struck Ethan harder than any weapon. His mind reeled. A reminder? A threat? The intruders prepared to fire again, but Liara's mother unleashed her power. With a wave of her hand, the floor cracked open, releasing a surge of light that flung the soldiers back like ragdolls. Their weapons shattered as they slammed into the walls. Gasps filled the chamber. The council, trembling, looked at her with a mix of awe and fear. Take your men, she commanded coldly. Tell your masters the human is under my protection. If they want him, they must come through me. The leader spat blood but obeyed, signaling retreat. The intruders vanished as quickly as they had arrived, leaving scorched stone and silence behind. Ethan's legs felt weak. He leaned against the column, his breathing ragged. This is insane. I didn't ask for any of this. I just came here to meet your mother. Liara's hand found his, her grip firm. You're not alone, she whispered. But her voice trembled. Then her mother spoke again, her tone softer now, almost sorrowful. You came here in love, yes. But love has tied you to a destiny larger than either of you imagined. She descended from the throne once more, her steps echoing in the damaged hall. She stood before Ethan, her gaze piercing. I will tell you what the galaxy has forbidden me to speak. Listen and understand why your presence shakes them. The room grew silent. Even the frightened council leaned in, desperate to hear the words no one was supposed to know. Long ago, she began, humanity was not small. You were not prey. You were conquerors, explorers, dreamers who bent the very laws of the stars. Your fleets spread across worlds, your voices echoed in every council, and then her voice dropped heavier. You discovered the secret of resonance. Ethan frowned. Resonance? Her glowing eyes locked onto his. The power to bind living will to the fabric of reality, to shape matter with thought, to command energy with nothing but spirit. A gift that made your kind unstoppable. Liara gasped softly, her fingers tightening around Ethan's hand. That's impossible. No species can. But they did, her mother said sharply. And that is why the galaxy united against them, against you. Humanity was not destroyed but broken, shattered, their memory cut from history. Those who survived were forced back to a single world. Earth, left ignorant of what they once were. Ethan's knees felt weak. His voice came out as a whisper. You're saying humans were gods? Not gods, she corrected, but close enough to terrify the galaxy into betrayal. The words pressed into him like a weight. His heart pounded with anger, with disbelief, with something else, something deep and hidden stirring. The council leader, trembling, cried out, This is forbidden. You break the oath of silence. Her mother turned sharply to him, her voice like steel. The oath was built on lies, and lies cannot last forever. Then she leaned closer to Ethan, her voice soft but urgent. If you stay with my daughter, the galaxy will burn. Your bond will awaken what lies in your blood, and no council, no empire will be able to stop it. Ethan stared at her, his breath caught in his throat. He wanted to deny it, to push it away. But deep inside, he felt it. The strange hum in his veins, the fire in his chest, the way her words made something old and powerful stir awake. Liara looked between them, her face pale. Mother, what are you saying? That if he chooses me, war will return? Her mother's eyes softened, sorrow and fire burning together. Yes, the forbidden truth is this. Humanity's exile was never about weakness. It was about fear. And if love binds you now, that fear will return 1,000-fold. The hall fell into silence again, heavy and suffocating. Ethan met her gaze, his jaw set. His heart thundered. He finally found his voice. "Then I have to choose." And her mother whispered almost like a prophecy, "Choose love, and you choose fire." The chamber was silent, the weight of the revelation pressing down on everyone. The air seemed thicker, harder to breathe. Ethan stood frozen, Liara's hand gripping his tightly, while her mother's words echoed in his head. "Choose love, and you choose fire." The council members huddled at the edges of the hall, whispering in fear. Some kept glancing toward Ethan as if he were a living weapon about to detonate. The polished black floor still bore cracks from the earlier battle, glowing, faintly like scars that refused to heal. Ethan's chest rose and fell in heavy breaths. He wanted to scream that it wasn't true, that he wasn't special, that he wasn't dangerous. But deep inside, he knew something had changed the moment Liara brought him here. The mother's eyes had awakened it. The soldiers had sensed it. And now he could feel it humming in his blood like a storm waiting to break. Liara turned to him, her golden eyes full of fear and love. "Don't listen to her," she whispered. "You're not a weapon. You're mine. That's all that matters." Her mother stepped closer, her robe sweeping across the cracked stone. She looked at Ethan with eyes that burned like suns. "You misunderstand, child. It is not about what you want to be. It is about what you are. Your blood cannot be undone. Your bond with my daughter will awaken what has been locked for centuries, and when it does, the galaxy will fall into fire." Ethan clenched his fists. His voice shook but carried strength. "So you're telling me to leave her, to walk away?" "Yes," she said simply. The word cut deep, sharper than any blade. Liara gasped, shaking her head furiously. "No, I won't let you take him from me. He is not just some prophecy, he is not just a bloodline. He is Ethan. He is the one I chose." Her mother's gaze softened slightly. There was sorrow there, but also certainty. "You speak with your heart, daughter. But hearts do not stop. Wars." Ethan looked between them, his chest aching. He remembered every moment with Liara, the laughter, the nights on Earth, the promise in her eyes when she asked him to meet her family. He hadn't come here to start wars. He had come because of love, but now that love was the spark threatening to ignite the galaxy. The council leader stepped forward, voice trembling but eager. "If he leaves, perhaps the fire will not come. Banish him. Send him back to his world, and let us return to silence." Others echoed him in nervous whispers. Ethan felt the weight of their stares. He was just one man, standing in a hall of power that wanted him gone. Every instinct told him to run, to escape, to survive. But then he looked at Liara again, her hand in his, her eyes begging him not to leave. And in that moment, his choice became clear. He stepped forward, pulling Liara with him, and faced her mother directly. His voice rang out steady despite the fear. "I won't leave her, not now, not ever." The chamber erupted in gasps. The council shouted in outrage. "He chooses destruction. He chooses war." But Ethan raised his voice, cutting through the noise. "You call it destruction. You call it fire. But to me, it's love. If the galaxy is so afraid of that, then maybe it deserves to burn." Liara's eyes filled with tears, but they shone with pride. She pressed closer to him, their hands locked together. Her mother stared at him for a long, heavy moment. Her glowing eyes dimmed slightly, not with weakness, but with something older. Acceptance. "So be it," she said at last. Her voice was heavy, like the closing of a door that could never be opened again. The age of silence is over. The age of humans begins again. The torches in the hall flared brighter, the very walls trembling as if the galaxy itself had heard her words. Ethan felt the hum in his blood surge into a roar like fire racing through his veins. His vision blurred with light. He staggered, clutching his head, and Liara caught him. "Ethan!" I'm fine, he gasped, though his body shook with energy he couldn't control. I just feel it, something waking. Her mother's voice carried over the thunder of the hall. The prophecy is in motion. The council cannot stop it now. The galaxy will come for you. Armies will rise against you. But you will endure, because humanity was never meant to vanish. Ethan lifted his head, his jaw tight, his heart pounding with both fear and determination. Then let them come. Liara smiled through her tears, holding him close, and her mother, once stern, once unyielding, finally gave a nod of respect. May the stars guide you, human. May they guide you both. The council, pale with terror, backed away. Their whispers filled the chamber, spreading fear of what was to come. Outside, the city lights flickered as if sensing the shift. Across the stars, empires would soon hear the news. Humanity had awakened again. But in that moment, as Ethan stood with Liara's hand in his, he felt no fear. He had made his choice, and nothing in the galaxy could undo it.